Hello, this is Jackson Hines, and this is the first in a series of PHP video tutorials that I'm going to be recording. Before you'll be able to code PHP, you'll need to have web hosting with PHP installed, or you can have PHP installed on your local computer. If you're going to get web hosting, I recommend using AtomicPages web hosting at AtomicPages.net. So just visit this website and you can sign up for hosting, and there's very reasonable prices. First thing to know about PHP is that it's a server-side scripting language, and that means all your PHP code is going to be executed on the server. So when you go to your web browser and you type in the URL with a .php to call a .php page, then what happens is when you try to load that page, what happens is your browser sends a request for that page to the server, and the server looks through that page and finds all the PHP code on that page, and it executes all that PHP code on the server. And then once that PHP code has been executed, it's sent back to the web browser. And so the web browser never actually sees the PHP code as it would with HTML or JavaScript or the CSS. So PHP is server-side, and that means the web browser on the client computer will never see the PHP code. So that means your PHP code is private. If we look at the page source of a .php page, you can see there's only HTML in here and no PHP code, because the PHP code has already been executed. So with all that said, let's begin. The first thing you need to know is that when the browser is looking for the PHP code that it needs to execute before it sends that page over to the client, it looks for all the PHP code inside what we call PHP tags. And the opening PHP tag looks like this, and then the closing PHP tag looks like that. So less than $PHP and greater than. And anything between these two tags will be interpreted by the server as PHP code. And you can embed blocks of PHP code within normal HTML. So I can put normal HTML tags all around this, and this regular HTML here won't be interpreted as PHP code. So I'm going to put this block of PHP that I've created inside the body of the HTML document. And since it only looks for PHP inside these two opening and closing tags, that means that you can change all any normal HTML files that you have. You can actually change them to .php with no trouble, because since there's none of these tags, it won't look for any PHP code, and it'll just send it as a normal HTML document. So that means your HTML that you might already have is already PHP compliant. When I use these opening and closing tags that's called escaping from HTML or escaping into PHP. Now I'm just going to put a simple line of code in here like this, and what this does is it prints out the text that's here into the HTML code. So if I save this file, notice I've named it .php. You need to do that in order to tell the server that it needs to check for any PHP code in this file. Since I have named it .php, I'm going to save it, and then we're going to look at this file and see what happens, and you can see we get hello world. And if we look at the page source for this script, you see that where we had PHP code in our original script, the PHP code has been executed and replaced by what we printed out using this print statement. So those are the very basics of PHP and the very fundamentals, and we will continue on in our next video with some more PHP.